Hello. Today we're going to take a look at the Demographics tab in CareManager. May seem fairly straightforward that the Demographics tab just houses member demographics, but there are a few key features in there, and it is also important that we fill out all the information in the Demographics tab, as we know that New York State Department of Health, when they come to audit our records, will be looking to make sure all this information is complete. So I'm in our test environment here. I'm in my enrolled members chart, and I'm going to navigate over to our Demographics tab. When you get a chart assigned to you in CareManager, it will come in. It might have some basic information in here to include an address and a phone number or any other information that came in from the state system that we import the charts from. This information may or may not be accurate. It's basically whatever was last on file with the local Department of Social Services. So I would also encourage you to consult your referral form or talk to the referral source to see if there's more up-to-date information. And if there is, we can always add it in here. So to start adding some of the information in, I'm going to click Edit up in the top right here. And then I'm able to change pretty much anything in here. I'm going to start, we're going to go by columns through personal, contact, and then demographic survey. So in the personal, you are allowed to upload photos if you have photos that you've taken on a company issued device, not your personal phone. You're welcome to upload photos of members. The name, while you will be able to change it, please do not change the name. As you know, CareManager communicates with other systems, state systems, along with HIXNY, and we need points that we can match cases on. Name is one of those points, so we don't want to change the name. If the member identifies with a different name or prefers to be called something else, you can put that in one of these three fields here, and that will show up in CareManager. Maybe he goes by Bob instead of Roger for whatever reason. I can indicate that here. Same thing with the Medicaid identified gender. This also needs to stay as is. If this member identifies as female or something else, I can note that over here in our preferred gender dropdown. But for now, this also has to stay as is because it is another point that we use to match members to other outside systems. Social Security numbers are an option to put in. We don't require you to collect them, but if you do and have it, you are welcome to put it in there. The primary SIN you will not be able to edit. If someone gets a new SIN, please reach out to us at the Lead Health Home and we will take care of updating that for you, not only in CareManager, but making sure our billing systems and everything else is up to date. The last couple fields here, the aliases is kind of moot now that CareManager has added these fields. This used to be where we added in if someone had a preferred name. This is not in the live environment. The big one here is the identifiers. These are basically safety concerns. We are a community and home-based organization, so if there is a concern, we want to make sure that we are noting it in the record. So we have a few options here of some things that may be safety concerns to include other if you have something that's not listed here. So perhaps there are firearms in the home. I can put that in here and then it will show up. I will show you where it shows up in the chart, not only in the demographics tab, but in other places. Another thing you might have noticed here, we have an identifier called permission to text. Some CMAs have internal policies that require that a consent be signed to be able to text back and forth with our members who prefer that as a mode of communication. If you are one of those agencies who's tracking who has a consent to signed for texting, you can put that in here. Usually what people do is put in the date that the consent was signed, and that's it. If you open up one too many identifiers, you just click the red X and it will go away and you're good to go. The contact information section is fairly straightforward. It's really where you put in all the contact information. If the member has an email, I can just click here, enter their email. Again, if I opened that by accident, I just red exit and it disappears. You can add more addresses and more phone numbers. So maybe this member is bouncing back and forth between a few places. Maybe they moved and are planning to move back soon or whatever it may be. I can add as many addresses as I want here. I just keep clicking the new addresses and enter them in. Again, if I opened it by accident, I just red exit out. We'll put in a new phone number because that's quicker. He will give us a mobile. And now I've entered, I'll have two phone numbers now saved. The last section here is the demographic survey. Not everything that is here in the UAT will be in the live environment, but we'll walk through some of them. I mean, primary language is fairly straightforward. It's also a very extensive list. It is a list that we can edit too. So if you're looking for a language that is not in here, let us know at the lead and we can get it added for you. You can put in his communication preferences, marital status is in here. I don't think nicotine use is in the live environment. Education, if what grade did he finish school or what degree does he have? Religion, if people choose to disclose that information, I can put that in here. Ethnicity is one we know that the state will be looking for when they come to audit us. So we want to make sure that we are putting in ethnicity. Race is, again, especially important as well. They were looking for that. Tribe is not in the live environment. There's questions about citizenship, employment, again, the preferred gender, and then a veteran status. I'm not going to go through and fill all these out. These are fairly straightforward, but we do want to make sure that this page is completed, again, because we know the state will be auditing us, and that we're keeping it up to date for this contact information. That's especially important. If your member gets a new phone number, make sure you're putting it in the demographics tab instead of just entering it into a note. If you're out of the office and someone is covering for you, they're not going to be able to comb through every single note looking for this updated phone number. They're going to look in the demographics tab. So while some of this information is fairly static, you'll be updating this, as your member moves, gets new phone numbers, etc. So once you've entered in what you need to, you just save, and now you can see some of the information I've populated. Maybe I didn't get all the answers. Maybe I'll work on this over time, whatever it may be. I can see I have my 2 phone numbers in here because I added the new mobile phone number. My identifier is here as well. When I go back to the face sheet now, I see some more demographics over here to include the identifiers that I just entered. Also up here in the member's name, you see now his preferred name shows up because I changed it to Bob. If I click on this little I can see his legal name, and I can see some of the demographic information that I just entered, as well as the identifier in here. Even though Bob's name changed in CareManager, and from his legal name showing up here, when I search for him, I can still search for him by his first name. He will still come up that way. It will just look like Bob, and then you'll see Roger Wilkins underneath it here. So that is basically it for the demographics. Just make sure you're keeping, again, your contact information up to date and filling out all the information on this page as you meet with your members.